Hey bros, welcome back to the channel. Today we're traveling back in time to the golden age of gaming, the PS2 era. Remember those days? Staying up all night, controller glued to your hand, completely immersed in another world? Man, those were the days. The PlayStation 2, aka the king of consoles, gave us some of the most legendary games of all time, shaping the gamers we are today. So get ready to relive the nostalgia as we rank the absolute top 10 best PS2 games ever. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because you don't want to miss this epic trip down memory lane. Alright, let's kick off this list with a game that needs no introduction. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. This game was an absolute game changer. Remember CJ? Big Smoke? All you had to do was follow the damn train, CJ. Classic. San Andreas wasn't just about causing chaos and running from the cops, even though that was a huge part of the fun. The story, the characters, the massive open world, it was like stepping into a movie. We're talking hours upon hours of gameplay, from gang wars to street races to even flying planes. And the soundtrack? Don't even get me started. It was the perfect blend of hip-hop, rock, and everything in between. Cruising down the street with the radio blasting was an experience in itself. San Andreas wasn't just a game, it was a cultural phenomenon. It set a new standard for open-world games and still holds a special place in our gaming hearts. I mean, who didn't spend hours trying to find Bigfoot or that damn jetpack? So yeah, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, a true masterpiece of its time, and a definite must-play for any PS2 fan. Next up, we have a game that tugged at our heartstrings like no other, Final Fantasy X. This wasn't just a game, it was an emotional roller coaster. We're talking love, loss, sacrifice, the whole shebang. The graphics, especially for the time, were mind-blowing. Remember seeing those realistic water effects for the first time? And the character animations were so expressive you could feel every emotion they were going through. And let's not forget the story. Titus, a star athlete from Zanarkand, gets transported to the world of Spira and meets Yuna, a summoner on a pilgrimage to defeat Sin. It was a classic tale of good versus evil, but with a Final Fantasy twist, of course. I'm not gonna lie, the voice acting was a little rough around the edges, but it just added to the charm, you know? This is my story. Iconic. Final Fantasy X was a game that stayed with you long after you finished it. It was a powerful experience that left a mark on the RPG genre. Alright, let's sneak our way into our next game. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Dude, this game. The tension, the stealth, the epic boss battles. It was a wild ride from start to finish. We're going back to the Cold War era, playing as Naked Snake, the badass who would later become Big Boss. The story was so intense, full of twists and turns that kept you on the edge of your seat. Remember the jungle environment? It wasn't just a pretty backdrop, it was a living, breathing world that you had to use to your advantage. Camouflaging yourself, using your surroundings to take down enemies. It was all about being sneaky and strategic. And the boss battles. Oh man, the boss battles were legendary. Each one was unique and challenging, requiring you to use your brain as much as your brawn. Metal Gear Solid 3. Snake Eater was a masterpiece of stealth action, proving that you don't need constant explosions and gunfire to make a thrilling game. Get ready to feel small because next up, we have Shadow of the Colossus. This game was unlike anything we had ever seen before. It was beautiful, melancholy, and just plain epic. You play as Wander, a young man who makes a deal with a mysterious entity to bring a girl back to life. The catch? He has to defeat 16 colossal beings called Colossi. And let me tell you, these guys were huge! The gameplay was simple yet incredibly effective. You had to figure out each Colossus's weakness, climb their massive bodies, and deliver the final blow. It was like a puzzle game mixed with a boss rush, and it was awesome. But what really set Shadow of the Colossus apart was its atmosphere. The vast, desolate world, the haunting soundtrack, the silent protagonist, it all created a sense of loneliness and wonder that was both captivating and heartbreaking. Shadow of the Colossus was more than just a game, it was an experience, a work of art that left a lasting impression on everyone who played it. Time to unleash the fury because we're talking about God of War 2. This game was a blood-soaked spectacle of epic proportions. Kratos was back, and he was angrier than ever. This time Kratos is betrayed by the gods and sent to the underworld. But death holds no fear for the ghost of Sparta. He claws his way back, fueled by rage and vengeance, to take down anyone who stands in his path. The combat was brutal and satisfying, with Kratos ripping enemies apart with his blades of chaos. And the boss battles? Don't even get me started. They were massive, challenging, and oh so satisfying to conquer. God of War 2 wasn't just about the action though. The story was surprisingly deep, exploring themes of betrayal, revenge, and what it truly means to be a god. If you were looking for a game that let you unleash your inner warrior, God of War 2 was the perfect outlet. It was a brutal, epic, and unforgettable masterpiece. Next up, we're entering survival horror territory with Resident Evil 4. This game took the series in a bold new direction, and it was terrifyingly awesome. Remember the first time you encountered those creepy villagers? They weren't your typical slow-moving zombies. They were fast, aggressive, and they could throw things at you. It was a whole new level of fear. Gone were the fixed camera angles of previous games. Resident Evil 4 introduced an over-the-shoulder perspective that put you right in the action. It felt more immersive, more intense, and way more terrifying. And let's not forget the story. Leon Kennedy, now a government agent, is sent to rescue the president's daughter from a rural village in Spain. But things get weird, really fast. Resident Evil 4 was a game-changer for the survival horror genre, blending action and horror in a way that had never been done before. It's time to get our Disney on with Kingdom Hearts. This game was a wild ride through our favorite Disney worlds, with a sprinkle of Final Fantasy magic thrown in for good measure. Who would have thought that a crossover between Disney and Final Fantasy would work so well? But it did. You play as Sora, a young boy chosen to wield the Keyblade and fight the forces of darkness alongside Donald Duck and Goofy. Talk about an epic team. The story was surprisingly complex, with themes of friendship, light versus darkness, and the importance of hearts. But it never took itself too seriously, always keeping that Disney charm. And the gameplay? It was a blast. You had real-time combat, magic spells, and even summons. Plus, you got to explore iconic Disney worlds like Agrabah, Halloween Town, and Neverland. What's not to love? Kingdom Hearts was a unique and unforgettable experience that appealed to both Disney and RPG fans alike. Get ready to rock out with some stylish demon-slaying action because it's Devil May Cry 3 time. This game was all about looking cool while kicking demon butt. We meet a younger, more rebellious Dante as he faces off against his twin brother Virgil. The story was pure anime goodness, full of over-the-top action and cheesy one-liners. But the real star of the show was the combat. It was fast, fluid, and incredibly stylish. Dante could switch between different fighting styles and weapons on the fly, creating some truly epic combos. And the music! Oh man, the music was fire. It was a perfect blend of heavy metal and techno, perfectly capturing the game's over-the-top action. Devil May Cry 3 was a stylish and adrenaline-pumping action game that redefined the genre. It was all about being cool, flashy, and having a blast while doing it. Let's blast off into our next game, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. This game was pure fun, with a perfect blend of platforming, shooting, and humor. Ratchet and Clank were back, and this time, they were taking on an intergalactic threat. The story was classic Ratchet and Clank, funny, charming, and full of heart, but the real draw was the gameplay. The weapons were insane. We're talking about guns that turned enemies into sheep, a disco ball that made everyone dance, and even a weaponized wrench. It was pure, chaotic fun. And the humor? Top-notch. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal was filled with witty dialogue, hilarious characters, and enough slapstick to make you laugh out loud. If you were looking for a game that was pure fun from beginning to end, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal was the perfect choice. It was a galactic adventure that never took itself too seriously. And there you have it, bros, my top 10 best PS2 games of all time. Man, it was a trip down memory lane, wasn't it? The PS2 era was truly a golden age for gaming, and these games will always hold a special place in our hearts. Now I know I probably missed some of your favorites, so let me know in the comments below what your top PS2 games are. Let's keep this nostalgia train rolling. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more epic gaming content, and I'll see you in the next one.